Lot of fascinating questions. Where do we come from? Where are we going? What is the universe made of? How can we possibly understand the grand landscape of the cosmos? When you look back in space, you look back in time. It's amazing we've been able to do this, to study the properties of the cosmos, timescales of billions of years, size scales billions of times bigger than our own. And now the question is, can we go back to time equals zero? Can we go back to before time equals zero? And what does that even mean? I hope in this course to keep striving and asking these great questions, because without great questions, there can be no great answers. And without great answers, there can be no understanding.
Wow. Brian Keating.
Fun, Joe.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, well, and I was so happy when I saw the trailers, you know, because Michaela and her husband, Jordan Fuller, they've been working very diligently on this for about 3 years, and they basically built it from scratch, you know. And I didn't have any idea how the courses would look, you know, because that's actually a pretty difficult thing to pull off. But I'm very happy with the trailers. They're extremely engaging. Every course has its own style sheet, like, so each course has its, there's an overarching style to the platform, but every single course has its own illustration, ethos, and quality. Yeah, well, you can see them.
Now, would you be, is this just for personal education, or will you be giving degrees? Like,
we're going to approach that in two ways. So we'll offer certification at different time spans. So, you know, generally it takes you 4 years to get a degree, but you could imagine that it would be useful to have a 1-year certificate, a 2-year certificate, a 3-year certificate, a 4-year certificate. Like, there's no compelling reason why it has to be 4 years. We'll keep very detailed records of our students' academic progress, and they'll be able to offer them directly to employers. So we want to be able to assure employers that anybody who's gone through the certification process that's part and parcel of Peterson Academy has done the work and met the standards, and the standards will be high. Now, simultaneously, we're working on technical accreditation, right, so that we can pull this, so that we can have this operate as a standard university. Now, there's trade-offs on that, because the accreditation processes themselves are captured by the same forces that have captured the universities. And we're not going to compromise the quality of the offerings by kowtowing to accreditation processes that are producing the same problem that we're trying to address.
Right.
Now, I'm in discussion with a number of different jurisdictions to move accreditation forward, and if that happens, it can also be applied retroactively. So if we can figure out how to do it with an administration or a jurisdiction that's willing to do it, and we don't have to compromise the quality, then we'll go the classic accreditation route. Otherwise, I'm just going to go directly to employers and say, look, we're going to be very, very careful about who we grant certification to. And you'll be able to rely on the certification from Peterson Academy as an indication of intellectual ability and also work ethic. And we'll document that by the record-keeping process that we use as part and parcel of the platform. So I think we can do it. We're going to do it one way or another.
How are you going to be able to assure that these students, because it's all remote, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to be able to assure that they're actually doing the work, that they're not utilizing AI? Like, are you going to have them write things?
I can't tell you how, but we are going to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, look, I've tested tens of thousands of people online. So I set up an online testing service that was used primarily by a company called the Founder Institute, and we tested 50,000 people, 60,000 people over 5 years in about 7 different languages, and we built and developed technology to capture people who are cheating. So they don't know how we're capturing them, and I'm not going to tell you, but we know how to do it. And, you know, and that's obviously a problem, but it isn't an insoluble problem, and I think we've already solved it. So, and then once we move towards more formal and stable accreditation, there are lots of companies have emerged as a consequence of the COVID lockdowns to make sure that remote compliance with testing requirements can be achieved. So there's lots of ways to solve that problem. You know, so
it's very exciting.
It's really exciting, and it's, you know, there's all sorts of weird possibilities that emerge from this too, because the technology now exists, and we've had some of the videos converted already to have the lectures translated into the world's major languages. And the technology that's cutting edge uses the professor's voice and intonation in the second language and matches the mouth movements to the
Yeah,
language.
they're going to do that at
Right.
Spotify.
Yeah, it's seamless, man.
Yeah,
It's seamless.
They're doing it with podcasts. I think they're initially going to do Spanish, German, and French. I believe those are the first three languages, but they eventually will scale out.
Yeah, yeah.